What's up guys, welcome to a comparison I've been waiting to do for a very long time. Today we have two high revving naturally aspirated V8 rear wheel drive manual transmission 2+2 sports coupes. This is a 2009 BMW E92 M3 and we'll be comparing it to a car that is very similar in ethos, the 2020 Ford Mustang Shelby GT350. I've gotten so many requests over the years to review a GT350 or 350R, so I'm super thankful that James, the owner of that Shelby, is finally enabling me to do that. But first things first, we have to review this E92 M3. This was the gold standard sports coupe back in the late 2000s. 4-liter naturally aspirated V8 that revs to an insane 8,300 RPM. It produces 414 horsepower and a little under 300 foot-pounds of torque. Car weighs around 3,700 pounds. It's got adaptive dampers and a rear limited slip differential. The previous owner added an Akrapovic Evolution titanium exhaust with sport cats, X-pipe and resonators, HRE P40 monoblocks, 19-inch. We've got the Brembo GT big brake kit front and rear, and we're on some Kumho Exta PS91 tires, 275 in the front, 305 in the rear. For suspension, we've got the H&R Sport Springs, Dynon adjustable front sway bar, and this engine also has a Dynon Stage 2 ECU tune. I'll put the full list of mods in the video description. But let's get straight to the point. Let's drive this E92 and remind ourselves why this is one of the best front engine rear wheel drive coupes money can buy even today. We're gonna put it into M mode and DSC is turned off. Already it wants to rotate on throttle coming out of corners. What a hilarious car to drive. This car is so tail happy. I've never driven a car that's so tail happy out here. Listen to that engine, perfect throttle response. It revs up really nice and quickly during those throttle blip downshifts. Feels like it has a nice and light flywheel, this thing. Fantastic. Hydraulic steering rack in this E92. Last M3 generation to have this kind of steering. Not great, but it's good. I think it's certainly better than later electric steering racks. It has really good weighting and a reasonable amount of feedback. And this Alcantara wrapped steering wheel almost feels like it enhances the steering feel for me just a bit. Outrageously good fun to drive. E92 M3, one of my favorite generations of M3. It's got to be between this and the E46 for me. Actually hit the rev limiter there. It's so zingy, it's so high pitched at the top end. It's got so much induction growl when you rev it out. It's the perfect engine for a car like this. So I can't wait to find out if the 5.2 liter V8 in that Shelby GT350 is an even better, more exciting engine. I just can't imagine how it could be, because this engine is perfect. The high revs, the linearity, the total power output is plenty for a car of this size and weight. It's so good, it's so good. Little wag of the tail at the exit of every corner. Oh, that's too good. That is just too good. Now, even though I turned DSC off, I did feel it just slightly intervening in that second gear hairpin back there. So maybe I didn't turn it all the way off, but either way, I'm getting plenty of oversteer out here. And I think these Kumho tires are actually a really good match for this car. They're not overly grippy. They let you actually play with the balance of the car at lower speeds. What do I think about this BMW manual? Well, like every other BMW manual I've tried, it's got a rubbery feel to it, not my favorite. It doesn't feel very mechanical, but that said, I'm not going to be misshifting with this transmission. It's very clear which gate you're going into. Even though this isn't the absolute best manual out there, it still gives me that level of driver engagement that I just love. H&R Sport springs with the stock EDC dampers. It doesn't quite feel stock in its ride comfort, but it does give me quite a bit of control in the corners, and it handles bumps reasonably well. If I could change anything about the E92 M3, I think the only couple of things I would do is give it a slicker feeling manual transmission and shed about 200 to 300 pounds. So hard to argue with that. 8,300 RPM V8, high-pitched metallic induction sound. Now, if any of you guys has a V10 powered E60 M5 and you're located in the Bay Area, please let me know. I'd love to experience what an extra 2 cylinders feels like. So a very high benchmark indeed for that GT350 to follow. Even 15 years after its introduction, the BMW E92 M3 withstands the test of time so damn well. I even think the exterior styling and the interior design and build quality hold up surprisingly well today. But with that said, we have to hop into the GT350 and see how that thing stacks up. Is it a modern E92 M3? That's the question we're going to try to answer. All right, the Mustang Shelby GT350. I've been waiting to drive this car for so long. So 6 years later, maybe 7 years, I'm finally behind the wheel. Needless to say, I am so excited right now. This is also a 3,700 to 3,800 pound car. The E92 M3, I believe, is a little closer to 36 to 3,700. The Mustang is also a little bit longer than the E92, and it definitely feels a little bit bigger. Visibility is not as good, although it is much better than some other muscle cars out there. The interior is actually fairly nice. We have this huge swath of carbon fiber along the dash, Alcantara wrapped steering wheel, aluminum shift knob. It feels like a proper driver's car in here, and the quality is actually a little bit above what I expected for a Ford. This thing is powered by the 5.2 liter Voodoo naturally aspirated V8 engine, which produces 526 horsepower and oodles more torque than that E92's engine. But roughly the same redline, 8,250 in this one versus 8,300 in that E92. We've got electric power steering, MagneRide adjustable suspension, and a valved exhaust. I'm gonna leave it in quiet mode at first, but don't worry, I'll open up the valves fully at some point during the drive. We're on Michelin Cup 2 tires, so a much grippier compound than the Kumos in that E92. So overall performance, both straight line and cornering, should be much higher in this Mustang, but that's not what we're here to find out. The real question is, does the GT350 feel like a spiritual successor to that E92 in terms of how it drives, how it feels, and the smile that it puts on the driver's face? Oh, right away, this manual transmission is far superior to the one in the BMW. That's the quiet exhaust mode. It's already so loud. Wow, brakes feel mega in this thing. So much stopping power in initial bite. Wow. Woo! Absolutely intoxicating sound. Way more front end grip with these Cup 2 tires. Not super easy to heel toe because the throttle pedal is very recessed compared to the brake pedal, but I'm making it happen. Revving this engine out to 8,250 is absolutely ridiculous. I cannot believe, first of all, that this is a stock exhaust, and second of all, that the exhaust valves are currently closed. Steering feel is actually not far off from that E92, despite this one being an electric power steering rack. In the sport steering mode, the weight, I would say, is just right. I wouldn't want it any lighter than this. All right, as promised, here we go. I'm gonna flip this switch here. Exhaust sport mode. Immediately the tone gets deeper and louder, but let's see how it sounds at wide open throttle. That's so insane. This should be illegal. It really should be illegal, this exhaust. Wow, the suspension is so good. And normally in any car with adaptive dampers that I drive here, I put it into comfort or normal, the softest mode it'll go. But in this car, even in the stiff mode, it feels excellent. So much compliance over bumps, I can just take everything full throttle. The brakes are so good, so much pedal feel. Tons of initial bite, but still very easy to modulate. It's not an on-off switch like a lot of other cars with track focused brakes. Got a little bit of rotation there. We've got stability control left on since I don't want to be messing around too much with a 3,700 plus pound car on Cup 2 tires. Now the straight line performance of this GT350 feels definitely in a league above that E92. Of course, it makes over 100 horsepower more while weighing only maybe 100, max 200 pounds more. I would say that the GT350's straight line performance is almost a little too much for street driving. But the reason I say almost is because the gearing of this manual transmission is actually nice and short. So you can enjoy rowing through the gears and keeping the engine on boil. Second gear through these hairpins, and we're able to keep the engine in its power band above 5,000. Now the Mustang definitely feels like a very lively car to drive. It's on its tippy toes. It's not super hunkered down, which is in contrast to something like the Camaro SS1LE. This car is more lively. You have to be on your A game, I would say, a little bit more with the Mustang. And that is very similar, in fact, to how that E92 M3 drives. We're gonna have to open this thing up one more time. Oh yes, so good. It's so good. Man, I'm at a loss for words, guys. Both of these cars are right up my alley. Front engine, rear drive, limited slip diff out back, manual transmission with a naturally aspirated high revving engine. I want both of these cars. I would gladly take either of them. They're just so damn good to drive. All right, let me calm down for a moment and try to summarize my thoughts. The question we were originally trying to answer here is, how do these two cars compare? Well, I can happily, very happily say, in fact, that the GT350 very much so is a spiritual successor to that E92 M3. The way it steers, the way it sounds, the way it turns in, the way the suspension keeps the car on its tippy toes without feeling completely out of control. Just the right balance of outright performance while still putting a big grin on the driver's face. Where the GT350 wins hands down is this manual transmission. It's a far more mechanical, more satisfying gearbox to use. Now that being said, there's something about the induction note of that E92 M3, even though it's way quieter in terms of exhaust sound, I just really love that high-pitched metallic wail, which the GT350 has as well, but sometimes it's overpowered by that outrageously loud and raspy exhaust. But we're splitting hairs here, guys. I'm just telling you guys what the differences are. So if you happen to be cross-shopping these two cars, you know what you're getting yourself into. In terms of the actual driving dynamics between the two, the GT350 just feels like a more modern and much more capable version of that E92. Much better brakes, even better suspension with these Magna Ride dampers, and overall the car just feels faster. In the straights, going into corners and coming out of corners, the GT350 has that M3 beat everywhere. The cars are about a decade separated, but deep down, they both serve the same purpose. And for that reason, this comparison battle is an absolute tie. I cannot pick one over the other. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know. Leave a comment, give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one.